Hi everybody, I am Mr. Hugzzz and welcome to It Takes Balls to Knit the Show, episode 13. Thank you so much for choosing to spend this time with me. I really do appreciate that, and I'm definitely going to make it worth your while. Now, in this episode, we're going to talk to a lady who made a big splash at Vogue Knitting Live last year, and she came back for a repeat performance this year in 2020. That's Vogue Knitting Live in New York. Some of you might know who I'm talking about. For everybody else, you'll have to watch to find out who it is. Then we're going to visit the only steam-powered weaving mill in the world. That's right, the only one. Oh my gosh, what a fascinating tour I had. And luckily, I had my camera, so I shot some video, and I'm going to bring you along with me. And then after that, we have the return of Knit Reel. So you're going to find out exactly what's going on in this wonderful world of knitting and related fiber arts around the world. Make sure you stay tuned. Okay, I will get this. Let's just get this one going right away, and I will see you on the inside. Okay, so as promised, here we are, episode 13 of It Takes Balls to Knit the Show. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoy this show and you want to make sure that you see every episode as they come out, just click on the subscribe button below and ring the notification bell. And in that way, you'll get an email every time we put out a new episode, which is approximately every 2 weeks. And I would love it if you would share this on your social media platforms so that all your friends can enjoy it too. And they don't have to be knitters either. This is all about knitting, weaving, spinning, crocheting, all the related fiber arts. Okay, thank you for that. Now, I told you that we were going to have a chat with a woman that made a big splash at Vogue Knitting Live New York last year. That was in 2019. Now, if you've already guessed, yes, I am talking about Sylvia Watts-Cherry. Sylvia came to Vogue Knitting Live last year wearing this amazing cardigan. I'm not even going to describe it to you. It is in the episode. You're going to see it. And yeah, needless to say, she took the knitting world by storm. And I was very lucky to be there, and I got to meet Sylvia last year. And then really luckily for me is I was in England last fall. So I was able to bump up with Sylvia and pin her down. This woman is in high demand. And have a fantastic chat with her, talk to her about her roots and her design and design inspiration and where she's going to next. So now I'd like to take you along on that little conversation that I had with Sylvia. Okay. Hello everybody, thank you for joining us, and we are here in London, England of all places, and a wonderful fall day. Well, wonderful as London gets, right?
Yeah.
Now, the lady in front of me almost needs no introduction, but I will let her introduce herself. Would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi everyone, I'm Sylvia Watts-Cherry. On Instagram I'm known as with cherries on top too, and that's who I am. I think many people know me because of my Nubian Queen Cardigans pullover, which I launched in New York this year, and it went viral. So I've been running trying to catch up with it.
Was it this year that was launched? It
Yes,
seems like it's been out longer than
I
that.
know.
Okay,
It was
yeah.
VKL in New York this year, 2019.
Yes,
My
I
first
remember
trip
seeing you there and getting some hugs. Woo, it was great. Well, Sylvia, thank you for sharing your time with us, and it's wonderful to be here in your neck of the woods in London.
Yeah.
We want to know everything about you, obviously, and there's a million questions, but we'll try and keep this under an hour or so, okay?
Oh, that would be nice.
So, Sylvia, tell us your story. Like, you know, what are you about? What's going on with you?
Okay. Yes. So I was born in Nigeria and came over just when I was a child. Let you work that one out. So I grew up in Aberdeen in Scotland. Went to school there, went to university, before coming down south to work as a scientific officer. So I started off as a research scientist, and through many years moved away from that, and I had my children, and having had my children, I then sold our business and went back to knitting, which is something I've done since I was quite young. I started knitting at around 7-8 years of age. So knitting's always been a companion, something I did because I enjoyed it. And so it's nice getting back to it without the pressures of having children to look after.
And with your knitting, what is it about knitting that you like?
I mean, knitting for me is a form of therapy. It gives me a way of slowing down, and it's a very personal thing for me. And you know, the repetitive nature of it is very calming, and I'll knit everywhere. I knit in the tube, I knit in queues. It's also been a way of making friends for me. Knitting for me is just a way of just relaxing, it's a form of well-being, and that's about it really. It's just everything.
Yeah. So, do you knit and crochet, or do you just knit?
I can do basic crochet, but I would not count myself as someone who crochets. Knitting has been the love, so I knit. I count myself as a knitter, and crochet is just, I could do granny squares, but that's about it really.
Okay. Now, as a knitter, you like to knit things. Do you knit other people's patterns, or I guess you started out with other people's patterns, but you have your own things now?
I do. I've
Okay.
always been the sort of person that likes doing my own thing. When I learned to knit, I quickly advanced to working my own designs. I didn't call it designs, I just called it knitting. So it's just something I did because I enjoyed it. And whenever I've knitted other people's patterns, you wouldn't recognize it was somebody else's pattern because I'd adapted so much. And so it wasn't that far a step for me to move on to doing my own things and designing. Although I never think of myself as a designer, so it always makes me laugh when people call me designer. I just think I'm a knitter. I just like knitting, so I knit. And knitting, again, I like the mathematical aspects of knitting and designing and grading. So to me, it's a mental challenge as well.
Did you the scarf you're wearing?
Yes.
Is
Yes.
that your own, or
It
is that
is
something?
my own. It is my own.
And I
Yes.
know you're probably going to say, "Oh, it's just some colors I threw together," but
No, this was the Opal Advent Calendar 2018, and which really involved every day opening up 20 grams of yarn, and as you can see, they're multicolored. And I decided not to plan what I was going to knit in terms of color schemes. I just felt it would be more therapeutic if I just used whatever came and made it work. And I didn't want to make a scarf, I didn't want to make socks, so I thought it'd be nice to make something like a cowl stroke scarf. So what I did was I just started, it's a reversible pattern, so it doesn't matter which way you wear it, it is reversible. And I put buttons so you can wear it, fancy it up, but if you take the buttons it becomes a scarf, but I like to wear it as a cowl. And I love the colours. Whatever you're
the
wearing,
colors are
you actually-
gorgeous. They are
whatever you
gorgeous.
wear, you just, it matches, so
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah, and it looks fantastic on you. Like
Oh,
it's just
thanks.
fabulous. And then what's in your lap? So okay,
Yes.
I'm lucky because you've already told me, but
Yes.
I think you should share this with everybody. This is incredible.
Okay, so part of what my journey at the moment is trying to use my African heritage in my knitting, and looking at all the fabrics and sculptures and just designs that have come from indigenous tribes in Africa. And a friend of mine is actually a designer. She designs textiles and uses and incorporates them in interior furnishings. And she came out with a design which I really loved, and I really felt it could be turned into a knitting pattern. So I've been playing with it, trying to replicate the actual design. So yeah, so it's come up with this one, which I wasn't sure because it's not very circular, the cable there. So I've finally come up with this one, which once it's blocked, I think is a bit more real. So this will eventually be a cardigan, or maybe it's a pullover. I'm not sure yet, I'm just still playing with it. So that's what's on my lap.
Nice.
I tend to play a lot before I knit.
Right. And obviously, like you were saying earlier, everybody knows about your Nubian Queen cardigan. Did that come about the same way? Did you have an image in mind when you started it, or?
I mean, last year, in 2018, before all the Instagram discussions, I went to an exhibition in the South Bank in London, and it was an exhibition celebrating all things African. And I just went there, and for some reason I had a eureka moment where the colours and the vibrancy of some of the African textiles just hit me, and I just stood there wondering why nobody was doing anything with them within the knitting. And I've seen lots of different designs coming from the Scandinavian countries, from the Scottish Fair Isle designs, but I'd never really felt that was something that I could be into. It just didn't feel like me. But once I saw these designs, I just felt it was home. The colours, the vibrancy of them, and I just wanted to incorporate that in my knitting. So once I knew New York VKL was coming, I just thought, I'm going to New York, and go big or go home. I thought that. So I wanted to incorporate something that was colourful, something that said something about me, and I saw an image which I felt I could use with the knitting, and I adapted it and used the software to chart it, having done it all on paper. And the charting took 3 days to complete, and then just started knitting, and that's where we are.
Well, obviously I'm not the first person to tell you that was a fabulous, fabulous piece of knitting. Like,
Thank
it's
you.
just, it's incredible. You deserve all the praise you get for that, because
Thank
it's
you very
just
much.
absolutely incredible.
It's actually been a bit overwhelming at times. I just never really, it was just something
Yeah.
I did. I didn't really
Mhm.
expect anything to come out of it, but
Yes.
I'm grateful.
That's good. That's great. Now, the thing is, though, you're not just about that cardigan. Like, you're actually a published designer, even though you don't consider yourself a designer, right?
Yes.
I was just at Knit Now, and I saw some of your stuff that's coming out. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah.
Don't worry, by the time this goes out, they'll
It'll
know
be
about
out.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So this is, I think, the sweater that you are referring to is in the recent publication issue, I think 108 of Knit Now, is an iron split hem jumper.
That's exactly the one.
Yes.
Yes.
That one. There was a submission back in February which I applied for and was accepted. So it just seems such a long time ago to be talking about it, but it is coming out now. So it's one that I use my daughter as an inspiration. She loves big chunky stuff to wear, and
Me too.
so when they were looking for an iron sweater or iron design, that was obviously something I needed to do. Apart from the colour intarsia knitting, I love cables. So
Oh,
So-
too bad you're married already.
Yes, I know. So I love my cables. I'm not sure whether it's the Scottish upbringing or just the mathematical logic way that it just appears. But I do love cables, so
Yeah.
it was something I had to submit. It's quite a tight deadline. I remember at the time there was a lot going on, and I was thinking, oh, maybe not. And my daughter would say, Mum, that was made for you. That was made for you. So I thought, okay, then I'll go for it.
Yeah.
So that's it. So it's coming out soon. It might even be out now.
Yeah.
And yes, that's
Yeah.
it.
And I imagine there will be many more in the future.
Yes, I've got a few little projects I'm working on, so I might be staying quiet on the submission front for a little while. I've got a few yarn support designs that I'm working on, but I've got a fairly big project that I'm working on that I'm not sure I can say it yet, but maybe
That's
if I
okay,
say it,
yeah.
it might make it happen. But I'm writing a book.
Oh!
So that's it. I've got to do it now. So yeah, the book is really just about, it's a celebration book. I can't go into too much details yet,
No.
but it is hopefully something that will appeal to a lot of people. It's a celebration of people,
Nice.
humans.
I look forward to seeing that.
Yes.
I look forward to seeing that. Are your patterns available on Ravelry?
I
you have
haven't. I've been a bit slow in doing this. I've got a few published in publications, Pom Pom magazine and Knit Now. I've got 2 now, and there's another one which is coming out in a book soon, probably next year. Other than that, the Nubian Queen is coming out as a collaboration with Lady Di Yarns, and the launch of
Nice.
that is in VKL in New York. So it's come full circle. It's going to be there. I'm quite excited about going to see seeing it and seeing other people's interpretation of it.
So you'll be there in 2020 again?
I will be there in
Okay.
2020.
Excellent.
Yes. So yes, that will be on Ravelry soon, and a few designs I'm working on will be there. But as I said, it's not. This is like a third career for me now. It's not something I expected to be doing, but it's something I'm enjoying doing. So I just have to get a little bit more techie It's not my forte.
Well, the wonderful thing about this community is that it is very, very close and inclusive, and you can get help in whatever aspects of it you need. I mean, in the past, designers had to do everything, and now, you have tech editors, you can get test knitters, you can get somebody to help you with layouts of patterns and stuff so that you can actually just design. You can do your stuff and knit it up. Well, we really, really look forward to seeing everything else that you come out with and where you go from here. And it's been fabulous already, so I can only imagine the rest of it's going to be even more amazing.
Thank you very much.
No pressure at all.
I'm not taking that challenge, so don't worry.
You're the one that raised the bar. That cardigan, seriously, I mean, people will be talking about that for a long time.
It's actually it's been, as I said, it's been very overwhelming because to me it was just a bit of knitting. I didn't, the response at VKL was just so incredible.
Not just VKL, everywhere. Instagram.
Yes, it has been. It was actually a funny story. I went, on the day that I put up the actual picture and said, this is it, it's done, I went out to have my hair done. My phone was on low charge, so I turned it off. And as I was approaching back home, I turned it on and I had a message from my friend Sylvia, who just said, have you looked at Instagram? And I said, no. She said, before you do, just sit down. I was, what's she talking about? So I turned on my phone and it just went ping, 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 ping. And I just stood there. When it got to 1,000 likes, I just stopped talking, which is a big thing for me. So it was a day and a half, and it just went on from there. So so thank you everybody who's commented and been encouraging. It's been really amazing.
Sylvia, how do you find the knitting community here in London? Like, I'm coming over from Canada, and I've been over a few times now, and I find it's like a mecca. There's a lot more knitting over here in the UK and in Europe than I even realized before. But in London specific, this is a very, very diverse city, probably one of the most in the world. What's the knitting community like over here?
It's quite, London's quite big, so you'd have to look at different parts of London. When I started back in knitting 3 years ago, I actually didn't know how to get back into it. And so looking for places to meet up, it was on the Meetup website that I actually found my friend now, Sylvia, who had a knitting group and met up every week. But it was really
you guys just met up yesterday, right?
Yes,
Wednesday.
we met up yesterday. So it was actually hard to find how to join in a community as such. But in terms of knitting, there are lots of knitters, and in fact there are some old-time knitters like myself who are probably not present in the social media world, so nobody really knows about them. And when you talk about social media, it's like, oh my gosh, you're talking about something really foreign. But they are there, they're knitting, and I think they kept the knitting industry going all throughout the lean times in the 80s and 90s. So there is a big knitting community, but not perhaps on social media.
Okay, excellent. And before we go, I just want to ask if you have any advice for anybody out there that wants to design. I mean, you'd be a perfect example because, like you said, you've come into this a little bit later, and everything, and so far it's been fairly good for you. Is there any advice you'd give to anybody else?
I would say to do it. If it's something that you feel you want to do, just to send submissions. I think the thing I would say is that I know I was a knitter and I could knit quite well, but it was going through the submission process of trying to get my knitting into publications that I feel that it really honed my technique, and it was actually a really good place to start because the magazines have a style sheet, so you get trained on how to write a good pattern, and so I would say that's a good place to start. It's almost like having someone taking you by the hand and showing you what to do, but you have to try, you have to put yourself out there, otherwise you don't know. And also trying to get involved in knitting festivals so that you can get to see what type of yarns are out there, what designs are popular, and what people are wearing, and that is useful. But the main is just go for it. I don't think anybody should hold themselves back. There's enough room for everybody. The other thing is to maybe find a style that is you. Find something that is unique, that you want to put out there, and then you can stand out, because I think it's quite a crowded market as it is, and there are a few names where you go to knitting festivals, you see the same design and you know the designers, and I think people are ready to look at things which are different. So if you've got a style, you've got something you feel, or a story to tell through your design, I think it's time to put it out there, because the world needs to see different things. We need to see a lot of diversity in the styles as well, and that is what I'm trying to bring, my own culture, my own heritage in what I'm doing, and that I think is what's made me different, and people have looked at it that way. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay.
Do your
Well,
thing.
Thank you so much. You are doing a great job of doing exactly that.
Thank you.
And Sylvia, I can't thank you enough. I know everybody watching would like to thank you, and just for sharing your time, your expertise, and your knowledge with us. And again, we really, really look forward to what comes next from you.
Thank you.
And I will see you in New York in 2020.
Now, that is one woman I will definitely be keeping my eye on. As you saw at the very end of that, she had a new cardigan out called Village Life. And I do believe the pattern is out now, but check on her Ravelry to make sure. And make sure you're following her on social media, because I know there's going to be some amazing things coming out from Sylvia. And she was such a treat to talk to, so pleasant, so funny. And yeah, just so down to earth and so incredibly, incredibly talented. You'll definitely want to make sure that you're following her. I believe it's with Cherries on Top 2 on Instagram, and Sylvia Watts-Cherry on Ravelry. And yeah, just I can't wait to see what she comes out with next. It's going to be amazing. Now we get a chance to change gears, quite literally. We are going to visit the only steam-powered weaving mill still in operation in the world. You might recall from a few episodes back, I was at the Susan Crawford's farm in England. While I was there, her daughter Charlie was doing a supper club event. And at that supper club event, I met Carrie Backhouse, who happens to be the museum manager at the Queen Street Mill. Well, after chatting with her for, 15 seconds, I said to her, Carrie, come on, I have to come up and see this. So we made arrangements for me to go by and visit, and oh my gosh, it was fantastic. Carrie gave me a guided tour. There's an exhibition that was going on at the same time. We got some information on that. There were a couple artists that had installations in there, and while they're not included in this segment, they will be in a future segment, because that was amazing in itself. And Graham actually showed me how the looms work and explained the process of weaving. It was fantastic. But I don't have to sit here and just tell you about it. I can actually show you. So why don't you come with me and check out this fascinating, fascinating tour of the Queen Street Mill.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Briarcliff, and this is a town in the northern part of England. And I have with me two very special ladies, and we're in a very special location. But rather than messing it all up trying to tell you, I'm going to let them introduce themselves and tell you where we are. So go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kerry Backhouse and I'm the museum manager here. We are in Queen Street Mill, which is an 1896 steam-driven weaving shed up in Briarcliff above Burnley in Lancashire.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Amanda Aldrin-Bates. I'm the course leader for fashion design at the University of Central Lancashire in Preston, and I'm here at Queen Street Mill today installing my exhibition.
Excellent. Okay, so first let's talk about the mill itself. Cara, what's so special about this mill?
This is the last steam-driven weaving shed in the world.
Wow.
So we're very fortunate to have 308 still working looms here. This mill would have been 900 looms in size when it was operational. But many of the mills across Lancashire were actually destroyed. They were pulled down, or the machinery was smashed, or it was sent away to other countries where they set up weaving sheds. But we lost our cotton industry in Lancashire. But for some reason, this mill managed to survive.
Wow.
So they actually kept 380 looms.
Wow. And it's a weaving mill. What do you weave?
It weaves
What kind
calico. That would have been the principal cloth.
Okay. And what's calico made of? Is it a cotton?
Calico is cotton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have a sister mill, Helmshill Textile Mill, and they spin the thread. So they take the raw material and they card it and then they spin it.
Wow.
And then it comes here to be fed into shuttles that then go into the weaving looms.
Wow. And we'll get to see that a little bit later?
Get to see that.
Excellent. Excellent. Amanda, so you're a fashion designer?
Yeah, so I love this mill, I know about this mill, and I got talking to Carey about working on a project where we could use the cloth. So the cloth, like Carey says, is calico, and it's known as shoddy goods, which means like it was mainly used for rags and tea towels and things like that. But it's actually very, very beautiful cloth, and I just thought, can you imagine if we made shirts out of it? It's 100% cotton, and it's actually beautiful to work with. So we actually got sponsored. I wrote a bid to the Arts Council England, and we got sponsored to do a project where we interviewed men that worked in the textile industry or had links to the textile industry. They came to the mill, they told us their story, we recorded it, and then they went away and we interpreted their story in some embroideries and wove it into this shirt, a unique heirloom shirt for them. So it's called Heirloom Project, which we've just been installing today, and it's going to be it's a unique project really, where the men are going to have this shirt to keep at the end of the exhibition, and it's just a way of like maybe talking to different generations, getting them to talk about the shirt, different things on each of the shirts are so unique. So it's just a true heirloom for them. That's
excellent. And how many men participated in this?
Well, we had 10 men participated, and all different stories, literally from a guy whose family had set up and built mills around the region, whose family had been such a famous family, and then we had people that had migrated here from India to work in the mills, and we had men that had worked in the textile industry all their life. Someone was weaving car seats now, and we had a man who came. It was a lovely story because he was a train driver. He wasn't linked in that way, but he loved the steam engine.
Right.
So for us, we had such, within the 10 men, such a fabulous mix of stories which we put together in a little publication that accompanies the exhibition.
Excellent. And is this exhibition, for the people that won't be able to come here, is this exhibition online, or is there anywhere that they can find information about it online?
Do you know, that's a really good point. We have got some images under the hashtag of Uclan Heirloom Shirt Project. So we have images on Instagram under that hashtag, but we're hoping that this project is just a beginning. We really want to, take it further, maybe carry on making shirts, and we're hoping it will become something that people can log on, look at a website and all of that further down the line.
Okay, so well, people just have to stay posted, and we'll get more information out there. What's your Instagram handle?
So
For
it's
people-
at Hugzzz Fashion Design.
Okay, and the hashtag once again for the shirts.
Hugzzz Heirloom Shirt
Okay,
Project.
excellent, fantastic.
I think it's also worth mentioning that the Hugzzz project is part of a wider initiative that's happening across the whole of Pennine, Lancashire. So we're in the Pennine Hills here, so this area is known as Pennine, Lancashire, and that is the British Textile Biennial. The ambition for this, it's in the first British Textile Biennial, and the ambition for this is that this area will be known once again for its cotton production.
Right.
And to that end, we have got the Hugzzz project here. We've got the work of 2 textile artists. We're going to have an artist in residence, all international artists. So you'll be able to see this work as you go around the mill. So it's part of a much bigger project, a much bigger picture. And there'll be at least another 6 venues throughout Lancashire that will have some renowned artists with their work in them. So
Excellent.
really quite something.
Okay, so I have a million questions here, but firstly, for the artists that are interested in this, like, how do you find the artists? Do they submit proposals to you, or do you go out and look for them?
We're very much working in partnership with an organisation called Super Slow Way, who are behind the British Textile Biennial. So they've commissioned artists over the last 2 years to be part of this. And also there is something in Blackburn called the Festival of Making. So 2 artists we've got here had residencies with manufacturers. So one with a carpet tile manufacturer and one with a dyer, yarn dyer. So from that they've taken inspiration to create the pieces that you'll see here today. But there's all sorts. There's a trainer exhibition. There is protest banners in another mill. Fantastic banners that are produced all over the country. I think it's about 200 of them. There's T-shirts. The fact that the slogans on T-shirts were the first form of social media, if you like, back in the 80s. So there's a huge amount to see, and we're really, really pleased to be part of that. It's only a small part, really.
So Amanda, can you tell us just a little bit about the exhibition, like how it started, whose idea was it, and why you're doing it, that kind of stuff?
Well, I think really it's linked with the textile biennial, the British Textile Biennial, and I just previously worked on a project called Hidden Gems, which was, I'm really passionate about trying to highlight the amazing resources we've got in Pennine, Lancashire, and there's a place called Gawthorpe Hall, which has an amazing textile collection, and it's not that well known. So we worked with some Asian ladies who used the textiles there to make hijabs, and then we did portraits of the ladies, and it was a really successful project, and it had a lot of publicity and was very popular. So we thought, well, we've worked with women, we wanted to then go on and do a project working with men. And then I also loved Queen Street Mill so much, so I thought, could we tie it all together? So we did lots of study days at the Gawthorpe Textile Collection looking at historic shirts for inspiration. And we were really inspired by the whole notion of when you took your clothes to be washed, the maids would always embroider little numbers and initials into the shirts, so you got your right shirts back. And so we did lots of things like that, lots of study days. We, measured the shirts, we took little details from them, and we designed a collection of prototypes. So when the men came in, we then advertised for some men, and we found some men that were interested, and we showed them the shirt prototypes, and they shared their stories with us, and then we asked them to pick a shirt from the prototypes that they liked best. And then we then took their stories and kind of got images. We worked with artists. So we worked with Regina Arkwright, who was fantastic at embroidery, and Yasmin Sadiq, who's actually a modest fashion designer, and absolutely brilliant at embroidery, designing, mirror work. And we just took the stories and designed something unique for each man. And it was really easy because each story was so unique and so different that it was easy for us to design these shirts. And then the men all came back for a photo shoot 2 weeks ago, so that was the first time they saw the shirts, and it was quite emotional. Some of the men were really moved by the shirts. One of the men, his great-grandfather actually was the manager of a mill, but not this mill, but he was a manager of a mill, and he saved the newspaper cutting of his great-grandfather from when he died, and we'd done a screen print and put that on his shirt. So we've got the photograph of this man wearing a screen print of his great-grandfather incorporated into his shirt, and it's amazing, you can see the family resemblance. And in the group photograph, which we have got on display at the minute, you can actually, it's almost like a ghost of this man that's in the project as well, even though he died in 1890 or something like that. So yeah, and we're just really passionate about the quality of the cloth that's woven here, and the passion that goes into it, and just to think that it's woven by a steam-powered loom, Victorian loom, and we can make contemporary shirts out of it that we hope will last a very long time, be passed down through generations, very much into obviously sustainability, slow fashion, and we're just thinking that these shirts could be something that might help to regenerate the mill. Queen Street Mill, we could brand it, we could have the shirts, we could sell them, we could set up a cooperative. It's lots of things for the future that we're thinking of.
Excellent. Well, we will do everything that we can, our close to the community, and try and help you with that. That sounds like a fantastic initiative.
Thank you.
Best of luck with that. And thank you for being here with us today and sharing this with us. That's fantastic.
Serendipity.
So now I understand we're going to do a walkthrough. We're going to check out your exhibition and do a walkthrough of the mill. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I'm going to show you around the mill.
So where are we right now? What is
Right
this
now-
that everybody's looking at?
This is our cafe, shop, reception area. But this, at one time,
And-
would have been a third of the weaving shed.
Okay. And
Okay.
who's that dashing young gentleman over there?
That's Richard, who's one of our volunteer guides,
Right. Hi, Richard.
and Abby, who's on our reception desk.
Hi, Abby.
So before we move on, I just want to show you the floor in here, which is the original mill floor. And when you see the looms and how tightly packed together they are, you'll feel, if you walk along here, you'll feel a groove in the floor.
Yes. you can-
And a weaver would have 6 looms at a time, and they'd walk backwards and forwards because the shuttles run out every 2 minutes. So they'd walk backwards and forwards between them, and they wore clogs, so that is where they've worn the groove into the floor.
Oh, wow. That is incredible. And these images that are here?
These images were taken in 1982, which was
Wow.
when the mill actually closed as a functioning manufacturer, and they just walked out, and this was how they left it.
I see. But the mill is still operational now. Is it just as a museum?
As a museum.
Okay.
But we do produce our own cloth, which is what Amanda's been talking about with the calico. And we produce a range of textiles, which you can see here. So this is the calico that would have been traditionally woven here. But as a museum, we have a progression of looms from the simple Lancashire looms as the technology expanded, so they could put a stripe in, etc. So we have this quite small range of textiles, but aprons, tea towels, glass cloth.
And these are manufactured here
these
and
are
then
made
for
here
sale.
on our heritage looms, and then they're for sale in the shop.
Okay. Excellent. All right.
So at the moment, this fencing is because above us is the chimney, and it's under repair because it's 100 and
Yes. You
20
can see
odd
that
years
chimney
old.
from quite a
You
ways
can.
away.
can. So being repaired for safety. Ordinarily you go up there and that's where the steam engine is.
Right.
So we have various exhibits through the museum to show you the process that goes into actually weaving on a loom.
my
So this
gosh,
is your
look
weaving
at all
frame.
those bobbins. Okay, I'm sorry. I get a little excited sometimes. Okay, this is a beaming frame.
Yes.
And what exactly does this do?
Well, this puts the warp threads onto the beam. So you have a warp and a weft thread on the loom.
Right.
So these are the warp threads.
This is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Wow. And how many people would be like here operating this? Is this a one-person thing or a few or?
There'd
Do you
be
know?
one person transferring them onto here.
Cannot imagine. Okay.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
At that stage, they're still
Oh.
quite fragile.
Wow. Look at the size of this room. Okay, I see belts moving up in the ceiling.
Yeah, these are the drive shafts.
Okay.
This machine here is a tape size because the thread that's actually on those beams is still quite fragile.
Right.
So this goes through a sort of mixture of starch and
Okay.
apparently all very secret recipes that actually puts the strength into it.
Ah. So things are being added to
Yes.
the cotton.
Yeah. It's like like a sort of wallpaper size that you might
Right.
have used. So
And this is, what am I looking at here? This is the thread.
this is just waste thread.
Waist thread. Wow.
Apparently each mill have their own secret recipe, didn't they? Yes, that's for the size.
Tape sizer. Excellent.
So this mill wouldn't have had these machines here. These would have been processes. This would have been
Oh.
here
Oh, I
with
see.
the beams, but
Right.
these processes would have been done in other mills. They're only here
Ah, I
because it's
see.
the museum.
Right.
So this, for instance,
That's okay.
is-
Everybody can see everything all at once.
Yes. So you can actually see the whole process. But this
Mm-hmm.
is these are perns. So the perns are taken from these big cobs and wound onto here, so that they'd actually fit into the shuttles. So every loom has a different size shuttle. So every machine would have been.
Good.
I'd like to demo it. Thank you very much.
Oh!
Richard. There you go.
Richard is going to demo this for us. Fantastic, Richard. Thank you. So can you tell us what you just did there?
It's called turn winding. That package goes in the shutter.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. And then that goes on the loom to actually create the fabric.
Yeah.
Wow.
There are different types of shuttles. That's a kissing shuttle.
Kissing shuttle?
So that the thread has to come out of that eye. So
Oh, okay. Wow. That is fascinating. And how many of these would be in operation at one time? Roughly. Ballpark.
This mill had 1,200 looms, and it's a heyday.
Right,
I mean, these are from about the 1940s, 1930s.
right.
So there'd be quite a number of banks that would be needed, and one person would run two sides.
Wow. Look how fast they're going. So how many of these can they fill up in, like how long does it take to fill one of these?
Well, that's changed. That's in a minute or two.
Yeah. That is incredible. And it just drops down, automated, picks up another one. Wow.
There's another machine round the other side, which is like this, but doesn't have a battery on it.
Oh, I see.
So the perm winder,
Right.
factory,
They would have to manually put them in.
that's right, manually take them off and put them on.
I see.
And then later on, they could take that mechanism and put it on the side of the loom.
Ah.
So you didn't need a separate process.
Right.
It was done in the weaving shop on the looms.
So how did you become so knowledgeable on all this, Richard?
Well, when I left school, I
Right.
went into textiles.
I see.
I was a drawer in,
Uh-huh.
a reacher in,
Uh-huh.
and then a tackler, a mechanic.
Right.
And I went to training college, got examinations, etc., certificates for processing
doing this.
and weaving.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for
Pleasure.
sharing that with us.
My pleasure.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is a room of 308 Lancashire looms. Is that correct? 308?
Yeah, 308.
And the drive shafts go all the way to the ceiling. Oh my gosh.
So these are the drive shafts coming off the engine above you here. Those are the gears that then turn all the drive shafts all the way down.
Wow. Isn't it amazing the engineering that goes into this?
Yeah, it is. For the Victorian era, they were amazing the way they developed
Yeah.
new ideas all the time.
I mean, we talk about how technology advances nowadays, but that's, silicone chips and stuff like that. This is
Yeah.
actual engineering. This is...
And this was rapid progress.
Yeah.
They had a problem, they just found a solution.
Found a solution right away.
We were saying
So-
like the jacquard weaving looms were like the beginnings of computers. The
Yes.
way that they developed,
Yes,
they could weave
very
words
much,
and so.
very
so
much
the
so.
programs that they used, it was like a.
We will be
computer.
doing segments on that in the show in the future as well. That is so true and fascinating.
But this is
So
real
the-
sort of sustainability as well, because they're very basic, very simple. It's a question of keeping them oiled and greased. You can replace the cogs, but if you look at all the drive belts, they're leather. The process
Yes.
wasn't interrupted. If one of these broke,
Right.
they'd have to just sort of patch
Just-
a new piece in and
Right.
keep moving.
Wow. And these are still functional.
The
So
row,
most-
the row across the front is still driven by the steam engine. We don't run the rest because
Right.
the noise would be horrendous for
I
visitors.
can imagine. I can imagine. Fascinating. 308. That's what it looks like, folks. And what are the busts for?
Okay, so
the men?
this, unfortunately, they're not here yet, the shirts, but so
Oh, okay, they're gonna
this
be
is
to
gonna
display
be
the shirts.
So
Right.
on the image at the end there, that's the banner we just put up. So that's you can have a
Right.
little look of
Yeah.
the shirts. So these are the 10 shirts that are going to be up, and we're going to have quotes from the men on these little plinths, and we're going to have touchy-feely samples, and we're going to have images of the men on these frames here that we've got.
I see.
So, but we've just
And these are the men that.
and these are the 10 men at the end here, the amazing 10 men.
Okay.
And Richard's
How do
on
you
the front
become
row.
one of them?
Yeah, you recognise Richard on the front
Yes,
row.
there he
Yeah,
is.
There he is.
The dashing young guy.
And that's the you can see the one at the end there, Gary's great grandfather.
So how can you become a man in one of these? Because I'd love to do it for your next exhibition.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm sure we'll be doing more.
Nice.
Yeah, and the gentleman there, Arif Khan, the first gentleman there. So though you can just make out that he's got fig leaves on the bottom of his shirt
Yes.
because that was he said he grows figs in his garden and he's got quotes. And he said that he learned to better his English from reading the Telegraph, so we've got that on there. His
Wow.
first car with the Austin A40, so we've done all of that. We've used Kantha stitch, which is a traditional Asian stitch developed in Bangladesh, so we've got that on his shirt, So Colin, in the sense that he was a shop steward, so we've embroidered him a shop steward's badge. And
Nice.
he's got... on his epaulets. I don't know whether you can see it, but he's got an epaulette, and it's the weaver's knot, because he told us in his story that he got his job. The man showed him 3 times how to do a weaver's knot. He said, come back tomorrow with 50 and you've got the job. So we incorporated a weaver's knot into, made out of rope,
see it. Quite
into his shoulder there.
nice.
Yeah.
And this one is quite interesting here as well.
Well, this is Tim Birtwistle, and he's the son of the mill owners. So on his pocket is an actual crest, his family crest.
Wow.
So and there's actually cotton on it. So the plant coming over his shoulder is actually a cotton plant that we've embroidered onto his shirt. And some of his family history is part of his family history. This is Mr. Gemrose, and he's got part of the Weaver's Triangle embroidered. He works in several different mills, so the bottom of his shirt has got Weaver's Triangle mill chimneys and everything, and then along the sleeves he's got shisha mirror work, which Yasmin embroidered.
Wow.
And then so Richard, who's been just talking to you there,
Yes.
what really struck us when we spoke to Richard was he had all of his tools, and he was really passionate about carrying them with him all the time. So we developed this shirt with a built-in waistcoat and a wrap-around apron with a little welt pocket in, so he can keep all his tools in
and
there.
there's a scissors there.
Yeah. So this fabric is actually like tea towel fabric.
Oh, okay.
So the red stripe, but it's just it's beautiful as a shirt. It really
Yes.
suits him well. So yeah.
And as a gentleman, you're saying that's his
Yeah,
grandfather.
that's his,
My gosh,
yeah.
it looks like
They
they look like
alike,
brothers.
they look alike,
yeah,
don't they? It's
very
amazing.
much.
So yeah.
Very much.
Each
It's
one.
fantastic.
Each one.
So the benches that you can see round the walls, these are the tacklers' benches, and the tacklers were the engineers who kept the looms moving. So you can see various cogs
Tools
and the
and
leather
cogs and
straps and tools of their trade, essentially.
and they were here. Anything went wrong, they'd be called right away, or
Yes.
come and fix this. So
But you
how
didn't
much?
want to call a tackler.
No.
If you had to call a tackler, then
That meant something was wrong.
you'd done something wrong to your loom. You were responsible.
Oh.
But I just
So-
want to show you between the looms, and you can see the kind of area that they worked in. So these were they've run 6 looms at a time.
One person was
One person.
running 6.
So you'd walk backwards and forwards in these spaces.
Oh, that's what you're saying with the tiles and the concrete and everything. No. Oh, you're totally fine. Wow. So it would be like these 6 here, or
In this row here, you'd have 6 probably that you'd be responsible for.
wow. And how much fabric is produced on these in a day? Any idea?
I have no idea how much in a day. They used to say things like that there was enough calico produced at this mill that would wrap around the world.
Right. Well, you could kind of imagine. I mean, that's a lot of looms.
Yeah.
And if they're going even like say 6 hours out of an 8-hour day.
It was
That's-
12-hour shifts that they
12-hour
worked
shifts.
12 hours a day, weavers.
Wow.
It was not for the faint-hearted, this industry.
And were the employees mostly women or men or both?
Both.
Both. Wow, that is just fascinating.
So
So
because
Becca?
it's a museum, we show various parts of the process. So this is actually showing how the shuttles are made, the wood that it's taken from, the machines that it's cut on. So you can imagine how many people were employed in this industry.
Yes. And what caused it to, well, I guess just revolution, like development, I guess, or thing. They went obviously from steam to electric. And
They did. They also found that they were bringing the cotton in, and then the price of the cotton went up. They didn't keep pace with change. India started to develop their cotton industry,
Right.
which essentially I think we'd taken in the first place. But
Right. I was going to
Very
ask
much to
that
do.
question: is where was this cotton coming from? I imagine because you're not
Ameri-
getting it from here. It's a little too
America
wet.
and India.
I see.
But it's a very damp county, so it was
Yeah.
perfect really for spinning and weaving cotton.
Right.
So this area, we've seen the beam.
Mm-hmm.
These are called heels, which you'll have seen hanging up all around the mill.
Okay.
Each one of these
Yes.
lifts the threads of the wool in a different pattern or a different way, so that they
I
form the
see.
shed for the
Mm-hmm.
spindle
For-
to go through.
Right.
Shuttle. I
Shuttle.
presume what it's called.
Yes.
Sorry, the shuttle to go
Yeah.
through. But they
And
have-
was this automated or was this manually
they have
done?
To, they have to draw this in. So they call it drawing in. So
Okay.
if you can see, the threads go through every single little tiny eye on here.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I want to learn to weave. It's just so many things in so little time.
And then because they were very ingenious people, they partly automated by creating this warp tying machine, but it only worked if it was the same exact heels and the same pattern and so on.
I see.
But they could just bring one in off the old beam and put on
on
the
the-
next one. And because they're so ingenious, they had this on these tracks. So as one loads, they can spin the next one into place. They didn't lose any time on production at all, these guys.
Wow. That is just incredible. It's just incredible.
I said
And-
it had to be the exact repetition. They hadn't got it that, you know, it was,
Mm-hmm.
they could change it. But even so, I mean, it's fairly ingenious.
So how's the majority of the weaving done nowadays? Is it all computerized and electric or?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes it is. But weaving's still weaving.
Yeah.
You know, it's still
Oh, yeah.
the same basic
Absolutely.
principle.
In this week, yeah.
So this is the dispatch area. You can see the scales here. So this is where they'd have taken the bolts of cloth and loaded it.
And the warehouse.
And this is the warehouse.
Oh wow. Okay, I'm seeing. Are these punch cards
They
of
are.
the sort?
So what we're showing here is, because we are a museum, we're showing progression of the technology of the loom. So we go from the simple Lancashire loom, just
Right.
with the shuttle going backwards and forwards, to how they found the various solutions to whatever
I see.
they needed to do. So we have various looms in here that actually show that. And because this is electrically driven, we can demonstrate to visitors, because the steam engine is not steam at the moment. we can
Right.
demonstrate. But this is just as it was left when they walked out from here.
Oh really?
You can see on here, this bench is still in situ
Wow.
when it was in operation. This
How
would have
long
been
was
there,
this mill in operation?
1894 to 1982.
Wow. Almost 100 years.
Almost 100 years.
Wow.
And we think it stayed as steam driven because it was quite unique in the Lancashire mills. It had shareholders,
Right.
so it didn't have a mill owner as such. Local people could buy ordinary shares,
Like a co-op.
like a co-op.
Nice.
And because they did that, because a weaver did it, a doctor did it, a teacher locally, obviously they didn't have the money to keep reinvesting, so it very much stayed as it was.
Right. And these are people that actually worked here.
Now this is part of the British Textile Biennial. This is Daksha's work.
Oh,
She's
okay.
taken images of women working on the Indian subcontinent and she's put the embroidery into them.
That's
The rest of
fantastic.
her work's around here. if you want.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go have a look at that as well. That is incredible.
They're beautiful, aren't they?
Oh my gosh. So now we're with Graham. So you're Graham,
I
and
am,
you're
yes.
what do you do here, Graham?
I do all the restoration work. on all the looms.
Wow.
And also do the weaving demonstrations, set the looms up, keep them going. Keep
Wow.
everything
Ship shape.
slowly moving along. Yeah, the best
So-
we can.
Right.
Yeah.
And what got you into weaving?
Well, I'm an engineer, and I've
Oh,
always
okay.
done textile machinery.
I see.
So I've been doing that for the best part of, well, almost 50 years now.
Wow.
So, but then coming here, it's the opportunity to just have a look at the other side, because on the textile industry that I was in, it was all on the washing, dyeing, bleaching, drying, printing machines, and also the loose fibre
Right.
machines. But to me, a machine's a machine. They just produce different. The end product is just different.
Right.
But coming in and working on these has been good. I knew the basic principles of weaving,
Right.
but coming, looking at these and actually building a machine, stripping one down, building it, you know how it all works, you know how it all goes together. The next one is to put some yarn on it and start weaving, and then learning the weaving process from there. And then you pick up things. I've got Rini, who's the other weaving technician. She was a weaver, so we trade off. She's been showing me on the weaving side. I've been showing her on the mechanic side.
Nice.
So it's a bit of a trade-off.
Right.
Plus, then we get people who come in who were ex-weavers, worked in the mill. You pick things up from them.
Right.
So you learn to weave that the way that they did it, and you get an insight to their stories, so you can relate those stories on. But it's just textile industry is a fascinating industry.
It
This
is.
is just one section of it.
Yeah,
And it's a
exactly.
small section.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Right.
But at least I can tell the story after the cloth's been made. I can tell the story of what happens to it afterwards.
Right.
Because that's the side of the industry that was in. So people do get the full circle and a little bit more.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
that's cool. So what I'll do, I'll run one of the looms here.
Okay.
These three are original. They're exactly the same as what you see in the weaving shed.
Right.
They are original to this mill. And this is pretty close to the cloth that was being made, the calico. This is calico. It's just got the addition of we're putting a blue stripe in.
Okay.
So we put that in the yarn on the wart.
Okay.
But this is still 100% cotton. It's natural. It still wants washing. It's still got the natural oils in. And you can
Okay.
see in some parts it's still got bits of the cotton seed.
So, Graham, what is this that you want to show us now?
Well, this is typical. As I said, this machine, this loom, is actually an original from here, 1895. Exactly the same as what you've seen in the weaving shed, and it's weaving material. That, again, it's typical of 1895, without the stripe, of course. I mean, this is for our tea toweling, but the material itself, it is calico. It's plain woven cotton. It's raw cotton, so none of the yarn, the warp or the weft has been treated beforehand. It'll be washed after we've made it up. This goes into our tea toweling, that way one of the products that we market through the museum.
And the only difference in this loom is that I guess this one's been converted to electric power?
Well, it
So
is.
this thing-
It has got the line shaft in, but when the engine's running, the engine will power this. But at the
I see.
moment, we do have
We
a
don't have the
capability
engine.
to run
Right.
an electric motor.
Yeah, that's
So
okay.
It's yeah.
It's a reduction in noise.
Yeah, just a little bit. But no, it's the rest of it is as it would have been powered.
Wow. Excellent.
26 years ago.
All right. So, okay. I need you to pretend that I'm a total idiot and I know absolutely nothing about weaving. Could you tell us just basically what's going to happen or what happens?
Yeah. Weaving itself is fairly basic. There's only five movements, but the four main movements for weaving cotton or even wool, any type of weaving. The first movement is with the heels. These are the you'll see them going up and down in operation when we're running. Each one of these wart threads passes through. There is an eye in the centre of each one of these wires. There's a small eye,
Okay.
and each one of those wart threads is passed through that eye in the correct sequence all the way along to keep all those threads running parallel. And it's on a basic weave. We've got your odds will go in one, and the even numbers will go in the back one. Okay. So it's basically 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way across. And then on the front here, in what they call the slate, you've got the reed, which is, for all intents and purposes, a metal comb. And again, each one of those threads passes through the gap in the comb, again, to keep them all running parallel. To keep them all in place, and that is critical for weaving. Okay. Now, your 4 movements of weaving are, firstly, to separate the warp threads. So again, you lift the odd ones up, you pull the odd ones up, you pull the even ones down. Okay. To start with. And you create what they call the shed, which is that gap in between the warp threads at the front here. So that's number 1, separate or shed the warp. Number 2 is to then pass the shuttle through. And I'll do it slowly by hand. Slow.
That was slow.
And basically what's happening, I'll just take that back out.
Wow.
What that does, as the shuttle goes across on the inside of there, all it's doing is that weft is feeding out on the inside. So that thread is on the inside, in between those warp threads.
Right.
So I'll just put that back in and knock it across again. So you can see when it's come out this other side, and you can just see it in between, how it's laid down in between the 2 sets of threads.
Yes.
So that's the second movement. The third movement is for this sleigh to swing forward. As it swings forward, the reed that we used to keep all the warp threads separated now acts to push that thread up into place. You just see that slowly going forward.
Yes.
It pushes it right up to the front.
Gotcha.
And that's known as the bang up or beat up motion.
Okay.
So it beats it up. As it's doing that, you'll notice that these are starting to swap over. So the threads that were up now start to go down. The threads that were down come up. And it swaps over. So that the threads on the bottom come up to the top. The threads on the top go down to the bottom. The interlace behind that weft thread, hold it in place. It's woven fabric.
Wow.
Now as that drops away, you create the shed the opposite way, ready for the shuttle to go back. So all that'll do then is go back to that side, and you lay the weft down again.
Wow.
And that's all it's doing, is alternating one way and then the other.
I see.
Now as I said, those are the 3 motions for getting up to the beat up. The final motion is with these gears here, is to move the cloth on.
I see.
And you basically move it on the thickness of the thread that you've put in.
Gotcha.
So you get, and that fell of the cloth is in the same relative position every time it beat up. So it hits with the same intensity. So it's thread in, beat up, move on. Thread in, beat up, move on. And that's it. That's weaving in a nutshell.
Okay.
And that really doesn't make any difference whether it's on a power loom or a hand loom or the latest looms going. You've still got to follow those same principles.
So it hasn't really changed since its conception?
No.
Do you have any idea how long weaving's been around?
Oh, no, I mean, they were
I know I'm putting you on the spot, don't worry about it.
Way back when, the Egyptians, way before that, I mean, they were doing clothes, they'd be weaving somehow or other.
Right.
But as to the development of the hand loom, no.
Right.
The power loom, you're talking mid to late 1700s when that came in, the mechanisation. Spinning was first, spinning yarn, the mechanisation of that process came before looms. And obviously with the advent of the steam the steam engine, then that meant you could actually build a mill anywhere. You didn't need to be at the side of a river for water power.
Right.
As long as you had a water source, you know, made a mill lodge so you can store water for the boiler, produce the steam. You could put a mill. You could put a mill basically anywhere.
Excellent. Okay. And now, will you show us how this
Yes,
goes?
certainly.
It's good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I understand what you meant by slowly.
Yeah.
You can barely see that.
Approximately 3 times a second. It's quickly going across there. In modern terms, that's relatively slow. But for the time, that is pretty fast.
It's a lot faster than manual.
Yeah, yeah.
So, do you have any idea of how much fabric would be produced in a day with this?
Well, when we just started, that's how much we just woven now.
Oh wow!
Now,
From
on
there to
average, that with this size of yarn, which is singles 8, that will produce almost half a yard
Wow!
in just over about 2 minutes 15 seconds.
Wow!
So if the average it out and then put it into metric, if you said every 3 minutes you're doing half a metre, so every 6 minutes a metre, so that's 10 metres an hour, 10 hours a day, 100 metres, 1,000 looms, that's 100,000 metres in this mill per day.
That's a lot of yarn.
There's some interesting facts about the cotton production. Certainly for this country, cotton cloth production.
Right.
In 2013, they made enough in the UK to go to the moon and back 9 times.
Wow!
And it's 450,000 miles a return trip, and that's 9 times that. So that's how much cloth, and that was exported, which is about 85% of what was actually made.
Wow!
And that was exported. So it was for this country, it was phenomenal. A phenomenal merchandise and industry. For me, that's what put the great in Great Britain. It was the textile industry. The textile industry kick-started the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
Because although they had the advent of steel and iron production, they could make some really, really nice steel and iron. They had to make something. And this is what they made. They made textile machinery.
Right.
So that was a catalyst for the Industrial Revolution, really, to be kick-started and take on the world then.
Wow!
Those textiles.
Fantastic.
It really is. It's a fascinating industry.
And then, how many types of looms do you have here? Like this is one of your basic ones, right?
This is the basic. This is what they call a Lancashire loom.
Right.
Generic term, Lancashire loom, just for plain weaving, because that's what was always required for doing calico. So they just became known as Lancashire looms, and they were made by the thousands.
Right.
Literally by the thousands. They were simple, the most basic of power loom that you could get. Then as things evolved on, you've got the looms such as that, which is what they call a cross rod. You start getting to multiple heels. The greater number you have of these, sequence of those going up and down, the different patterns you can, weave patterns you can create.
And there's a jacquard loom somewhere as
jacquard
well.
That is a full jacquard bit behind. That will be classed as jacquard was the first computer.
Yes.
All computers spawned from jacquard's methods, ideology. So, and it was patented 214 years ago.
Wow.
1805. It was patented. So they had computers
Right.
in
Yeah.
1805.
Yeah.
So nothing's new. But that is just one of the technologies that comes from textile machinery.
Right.
Computers being the main one for everyday life now.
Right.
But the looms that we've got here, we try and show how they progress from this up to, I suppose, our leading one that we've got, something on that lines with the north that we can weave terry towel in. We can weave material that's got a loop in it. Or a file. So we do try and demonstrate how they did evolve to that.
Fascinating.
And we have them running.
Fascinating. Well, Graham, I want to thank you so much. This is beyond fascinating, and I'm just so glad that you were here to show us this and help us with that.
Appreciate you coming and
Yeah.
making a record of it. And
Yeah.
so people out there can have a look, and I do encourage them to come and have a look, because it's not just about the machinery and the mill itself. It was the people that worked in them.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting part, because they were communities. You worked together, you lived together, you played together, you loved together. You worked in the mill, and that carried on outside. So the communities outside the mill all pulled together. Everybody looked after each other. When the mills closed, the communities disappeared.
Yes.
And that is the sad part. It was like a double whammy, really, that communities got divided. But it was the mill itself, although the work was hard, it was tedious, it was noisy, it was dirty, but it was the people that they worked with that made it bearable for everyone. And most people who worked in the mills will say it were the best days of their lives because of the people who they work and met within the mill.
Right.
So it's their stories that are really worth listening to.
Yeah.
Now, I know not everybody has the same passion I do for the history of the textile industry and the fiber arts and all that, but I just think that was an absolutely fascinating peek into not just the machinery and how it worked and everything else, but the lives of the people that were involved and that helped shape the industry that we're involved in today and how things are today. If you get the chance, I absolutely urge you to go and visit the Queen Street Mill. If you go on their website, you can find out what the hours of operation. It is still open. You can still go and see how things work there. And I'm sure you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. There's so much that can't be put into words or can't be captured on this medium. So yes, if you get the chance, definitely go and check that out. And you'll also be helping support the initiative that is happening to revive the Penile district and get the cotton industry going again in England, in the UK. Now we have the return of Knit Reel, where we check in around the world to see what events and festivals are happening in the world of knitting and related fiber arts. Everybody, I am Mr. Hugzzz, and this is Knit Reel. So we're going to try and catch you up to date with the events going on worldwide in the world of knitting and the related fiber arts. Now, because of the sheer number of events that are happening, obviously we can't talk about all of them here. There will be others listed on the website, ittakesballstonknit.com, and in the show notes. If you know of any that we haven't mentioned or that you would like to have mentioned, please send us an email at ittakesballstonknit@gmail.com and just put Knit Reel in the subject line and then give us all the details. If there are any links to websites, please include those, and we will be more than happy to include them either here in the show or, as I said, in the show notes and on our website. Now, normally March is a month where everybody's talking about Edinburgh Yarn Fest, and unfortunately, as we all know, that Edinburgh 2020 is not happening. However, they will be back next year in 2021, so make sure you kind of block your month for that. That's one of the great ones to be at. Unfortunately, we have two other events that join that list of canceled, and that is unfortunately due to the situation that is currently happening with the coronavirus. We have Vogue Knitting Live in Seattle, which was to take place this weekend, and we have Stitches United, which was to happen in Hartford, Connecticut, March 27th to 29th. Both those events have been canceled by the organizers due to safety concerns regarding their attendees. It is unfortunate, and we do hope that this situation basically is resolved very, very shortly, and those events are rescheduled. If that happens, we will definitely let you know here, and you can also check both their websites to see the current situation and any updates. For a bit of good news though, events that are happening right here in my hometown of Vancouver, British Columbia, we have Fiber Fest, which is happening in Langley, BC. So if you are in the Pacific Northwest and had plans to go to VKL and are looking for something else to do, come up to Langley, BC. It's only 2 hours away, and March 13th and 14th we have Fiber Fest, which is happening in Langley at the Langley Event Center in the Field House. It's a new location this year, bigger location, more vendors, lots more fiber. It's gonna be a blast. You can get all the details for that on their website. Knit City in Vancouver has taken their act national, and they are going to Montreal. And they're going to be in Montreal March 27th to 29th for Knit City Montreal. If you go on the website, knitsocial.ca, you will get all the details for that. There's a great lineup of instructors and lots of vendors. Go get your fiber fill in Montreal, March 27th to 29th. If you're over in Europe, you might want to check out the Dutch Knitting Festival, which is happening March 27th and 28th over in Amsterdam. Definitely check that out. And you know, while you're there, you might also want to pop in a couple of the yarn shops that are there. I hear that Stephen and Penelope is in the area. Yes, that's right. You'll definitely want to check that out. But there's going to be lots and lots of stuff for you to do at the Dutch Knitting Festival. That's March 27th to 28th. The Yorkshire Yarn Festival is just a one-day event, but I thought it was really important to mention it here because it's in York and there's nothing else going on in that area, so you might definitely want to check that out. That's March 21st. You check out the website and the links are in the description below. I'm going to mention one event a little bit ahead of time, and that is Wonderwool, which is happening in April. That's next month, so you'll see a segment on this. You'll see that in the next knit reel anyway. But yes, that's happening in April in Wales, and the reason I'm mentioning it now is that well, I'm going to be there, so if you're there, it would be fantastic to meet you in real life. Make sure you come up, say hi, get some hugs. It's going to be wonderful. That's Wonderwool, which is in Wales. That's in April. Now, as we said, we couldn't possibly mention all the events that are happening, and again, we try to only do the major ones, the 2-day or more ones. However, if you have an event that you know of that you think this should be mentioned or you'd like us to mention here on the show, please send us an email at ittakesballstoknit@gmail.com and put knitreel in the subject, and we will definitely put it in the description. We'll try and mention it right here directly, and we'll have it on our website, ittakesballstoknit.com. Thank you so much. We're going to have another update for you in April for everything happening in April in the wonderful world of knitting and the related fiber arts. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of It Takes Balls to Knit the Show. This is the end of episode 13. I'd love to welcome you to join us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at It Takes Balls to Knit, and make sure you join our close-knit community on our website, ittakesballstoknit.com. Also, if you would love to know when the new episodes come out, make sure you click on the subscribe button below and ring the notification bell so that you get an email every time we put out a new episode. And please, please, please do share this with all your friends in all your social media networks. We do appreciate the love. This is Mr. Hugzzz saying thank you so much. Thank you so much to everybody that's watching. Thank you so much to everybody that was in this video. Sylvia, it was such a treat sitting down and chatting with you and getting in your brain, finding out your design process. And I can't wait to see what you come up with next. Graham, you have given me a newfound just admiration on all things historic and machines. It was incredible. I thank you so much for the demonstrations you gave us of the looms at the Queen Street Mill. And Carrie, thank you for inviting us into the Queen Street Mill and giving us that tour. It was absolutely astounding. I'll definitely be checking in with you again when I come back up. Everybody else that I didn't mention, thank you so much for being a part of this show. And you, the people watching, thank you so much for your continued support. I really do appreciate it. This is Mr. Hugzzz saying thank you, and I will see you in 2 weeks.
I'm here with Lucy. Lucy, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hello.
And part of this whole experience, I guess, is the fact that you guys have a shop and people can actually take home things from here, right?
We do, yeah, and we have things here that are made from mill objects, if you like. We've got the pern skipping ropes.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so the perns and mohair. Made from mohair, some traditional toys.
I see. And do you guys get a lot of visitors here?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do. I think it's getting it out there. It's a difficult thing, letting people realise that we are open and what there is here to see. You know, because it is obviously really unique.
Can people go online and see and get more information about this mill?
They can.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, it is on the Lancashire Council website, which is the best place to look because I know a lot of the older websites have got wrong information,
I
like
see.
the opening times and things.
Mm-hmm.
We have our fabric here, the Sissy and Ada fabrics.
And these were made on the looms
These are
here?
made on the looms.
Wow.
We have these cleaning cloths down here have an interesting story.
Okay.
They were packaged up from a mill in 1937. It was a cancelled order, I believe. I'm
Right.
told, to Germany. So whether it was from the war breaking out, the order was cancelled, and then they eventually ended up here, unpackaged, and found that they've been bundled up for 60, 70 years. So,
Wow,
yeah.
that's incredible. You know, if you guys made knitting bags, well, actually, look right here.
Yeah.
This is like a project bag
Yeah.
that knitters could use and crocheters. Because, you know, us knitters love our project bags.
Yeah, nice with a small hole for the holes to come through. Yeah.
Okay, these shuttles are massive.
Yeah, they
Are they actual working shuttles or are they
Yes,
just...
Yeah. Heritage
Wow.
shop,
I could imagine the loom for that would be huge.
Yeah. Yeah, and the pern pens and the pern corkscrews.
So people that have looms can actually come here for parts.
Not
Or not?
really. We've only got, it's just the
For
shuttles.
specific ones.
Yeah. I know a guy bought one of the large ones the other day, said it was the only one he hadn't got.
Right.
Obviously had a collection. And then we have the books that relate to weaving industry and local heritage.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, Lucy. It has been fabulous just coming here and visiting and seeing all this stuff. Yes, I will definitely be returning. This is incredible.